Omohefe, Peace, or Semere. For starters, would like to encourage you to maybe alert any youth around you to tune in, because the topic of discussion is one that concerns, the youth, talking about active participation in Nigerian politics. I actually have one Nigerian youth who was actually joining us live via telephone this morning to discuss very extensively on the topic of discussion today. He is a content creator and he is Omofuwo Cornelius. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure having me.
All right. And I'll also be joined by Comrade Saliu Mahmoud Dantata, who is a public affairs analyst, to react to the views that would be expressed by Omofuwo, right? And a team of, or a host of, Nigerian youth that would be calling in this morning to share your thought. But that is not to say that we don't want, the older generation or the old at heart, to share your thoughts. I'm sure that the progression of events in the country is one that actually bothers almost everyone, all right, if not everyone, all right. So I'd like to quickly share or put a background to the conversation this morning, but before I do that, I'll quickly hand down the studio lines for you to call in this morning, the WhatsApp number also that you can send a message to, all right. So as we go conversational, listen very carefully. The numbers to call much later would be 09087668888 or 09073530044. You can send a voice note or a message to the WhatsApp portal number, and that will be 090970544 and 50. All right. So on the show this morning, the topic is assessing youth's participation in Nigerian politics. Now, here is the background. All right. This is coming against the backdrop of statements made by the chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, where he has asked African youth to lead the charge in promoting peaceful and credible elections across the continent. Now, Yakubu spoke on Tuesday while delivering a lecture on democracy and peaceful elections in West Africa to students of international affairs and diplomacy and those of peace and conflict studies at the Civil Service University in the Republic of the Gambia. Now, according to Mahmoud, he urged the youth to actively engage in the electoral process with a positive mindset, and they should also shun electoral malpractices and uphold democratic values. Now, highlighting the indispensable role of young people in the electoral process, the INEC chairman noted that elections in Africa cannot succeed without youth participation. He's further urged the youth to be upright and law-abiding. I've just put a post to it right there and trickle the conversation back to Nigeria. Of course, we are in Africa, but let's come back to the home front and deal with the issues, the perceptions, the wrong notions, in circulation about, youth participation, in Nigerian politics. So, Omofuwo, thank you once again for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. As a Nigerian youth, and let me just also put this out that we actually made effort to reach out to a number of, youths, but for whatever reason or for reasons best known to them, they just declined. And I really cannot really sum my thoughts up as to why they did that. Maybe they are scared to talk on radio, or they are not just ready to face reality. But thank you once again for obliging us. Now, as a Nigerian youth, from your own perspective, I'm sure that you've been monitoring political events in the country for some time now. What do you make of youth participation in the whole process?
Well, the 2023 gubernatorial elections has shown us in this country that youths are actively participating in elections. They have been actively, it has been a wake-up call since the last administration now, and this present one, 2023, you see youths were really out there in mass to show their support, their commitment for better leadership, and also to not just in participating in voting. In some number of occasions and some local governments around the country too, you see youths trying to vie for political seats, trying to make the country. So you could say that in Nigeria, I think it's they've been actively participating. Youths are now on board. They are now on board in this political race and this trying to make the country better.
But when you go out there on the street and you try to indulge a number of Nigerian youth, maybe to have a very candid or civil conversation with them about the whole electoral process, it's beginning to look like they've given up on the process. I don't know if your thoughts are any different or you've heard anything like that before.
Yeah, yes. You can't blame them. You can't blame them. You see, Nigerian youth they've had the high hopes. In 2023 elections, they were having high hopes that before now, there's been a calling, there's been this outcry that youth should participate more in elections, and they did turn out. They let their voice be heard. But what was the outcome? It was like it was the same. It was what we all know it to be before. There are malpractices. There are things that at least they kill your hope about election. So if there are some who are saying they are fed up with the system, you can't actually blame them. But again, there are still some who have not let their spirit down. They are still out there. They still want to let their voice be heard. That's why you see people protesting here and there for better leadership. If you look at it, it's mostly youth. And although nobody is saying anything about 2027 elections for now, but you could see that in the background, the youth are still, there are a few ones of them who are still there, who still want to let their voice and their vote count.
When you say that the election process or electoral process in Nigeria has been marred by irregularities, I mean, that is really no news to an average Nigerian on the street. But when you look at the population, the people used, to perpetrate these electoral, crimes or, violence, it's mostly the youth. What does that tell you? And how much of a concern is that to you as a Nigerian youth?
Well, funny enough, I had this conversation with a friend the other day, and we all agree that there is a reason behind the youths. Some youths, not all youths, some youths, as there are reason behind them being the ones carrying out this malpractice in elections. And you could say that hunger, I would say hunger. And it's just the reason why it's so. Another reason I think the wrong idea about politics has been sold to Nigerians.
Sold by who? Sold by who?
Yeah,
and to who?
Yeah, the wrong idea about politics has been sold to Nigerians. That's the political leaders. The political leaders of this country have sold the wrong idea about politics to Nigerians. This is why I said this. I'm saying this because a Nigerian youth typically will support anybody without vision as long as they are paying your bills. But the elections now is now party elections. They're no longer looking for somebody who's credible, who is going to deliver, or someone you trust to make their promise count or to say something else. But they believe now, as long as it's my party, and this is a ruling party, support this party and you get the peanuts or the change you are looking for. That's why that's just the idea about politics now that's been sold to Nigerian youth, and many sadly many are buying into it.
Once upon a time, we had conversations, and I would say that the clamor at the time for the not too young to run was actually on the front burner. However, what do you think Nigerian youth have been able to do with that opportunity so far? It appears we are somewhat divided along party lines, and our conscience somehow is no longer, guiding us in our thought patterns. So it's basically what I can get from a political godfather, the ones that Nigerian you would fondly call my leader and what have you. So is this also to corroborate what you said earlier, that it is the wrong idea that, has been sold to the youth?
Yes, yes, that's just it. I say time, but that was the wrong idea has been sold because not too young to rule. This was like, well, how would I call it now? It was like a charade. It was like a cover up for what's underneath. Imagine if let's put it this way: a political godfather will ask you to, don't worry, I promise you, in the next coming elections, you will be this. You occupy this seat politically. You will do this politically. That's just a promise. But for you to do this, for we to give you this seat or this office politically, you have to do this for us. You have to deliver this unit for us. They don't care what they are going to deliver. So imagine you selling this idea to a youth who just wants to get that. What do you think they will do? They will do their best to make sure, okay, irrespective of selling that idea to you, or making those promises to you, whether the person is capable of delivering or not, you what you know for sure is that you are going to get something in return. So you do all you can to want to make your promise or make them scale through while you wait for your own greener action.
Okay, let me also ask you, there's no pun intended. Do you belong to any political party at the moment?
No, I don't.
Why not?
Probably because I do not believe that the politics that is being played in this country is capable of delivering this country for where it is.
So are you by implication giving up on democracy in Nigeria?
Democracy, democracy in Nigeria, no, not giving up on it. Well, because like it or not, there are certain things that we as Nigerians you still enjoy under this democratic rule, but
certain things like
there's a lot of freedom. I would say this, for a lot of freedom for youth, a lot of freedoms for youth, so to speak, because this not too long ago, I think the 30 days round challenge is still on. If it's democracy that allows youth to at least air their voice,
express themselves,
say what they want to say, and do certain things to a degree, and it's just and they will just pass. Even though they've been threat to people who air their voice about the certain things that's happening in this country, you see that when they say so and they want to be oppressed, you see other people coming out again to help them out. And so I feel democracy has been. That's the part of democracy I think we are still enjoying in this country. I'm not giving up on democracy. I'm giving up on the idea of democracy in politics.
What is your own definition of true democracy or federalism?
Well, my own idea of democracy is, I think it's the layman's explanation of democracy: a government for the people, by the people, and how do you call it?
For the people.
For the people. That's just the layman. That's what I think it is. It has to be for the people, by the people.
But is that what it is at the moment?
No, it is not what it is. It is not what it is. So although, because of youth participation and this activeness of youth these days, I think that in the long run, we are getting there. It might seem as if it's possible for now. In the long run, it's not this. So you can imagine the slogan that the president used in his elections. It was theory. He said it was my turn. That's what that was his slogan. In fact, all he talked about was it's my turn to be the president. So you imagine somebody who tells you it's my turn. The president doesn't care, or it doesn't bother him to know if he is a government for the people or the president by the people. All he cares about is was his turn, and he got what he wanted.
No, the masses voted for him, right?
That's what Professor Yakubu said.
All right. So at this point in time, who takes the blame, the bulk of the blame? Is it the system that we have, or Nigerian youth who are perhaps not really ready to match words with action? Because beyond the clamor, beyond the protest, we need a good governance. We want, a good governance, a working system, and what have you. Then when it's time for elections, the youth are now being used as tools to disrupt the process. Some of them sell their vote, and others will tell you that, oh, there's no point going to even exercise, my franchise. Let me ask you now, also no pun intended, do you have a PVC as a Nigerian youth?
Yes, I do.
And you voted, during elections before?
I did not.
And why is that? You don't trust the process?
No, I don't. I don't trust the process.
But if you don't trust the process, the change we're clamoring for, how do you expect it to come to light?
Well, I think that's the change you are clamoring for. You have to see the light in the tunnel before you head into it.
Okay.
We will get there. The thing is that there's a question you asked, and I wanted to give an answer. You said who should take the bulk of the blame?
Right.
Yeah, I don't think it's the people. I think it's the system.
The system.
The system has to change.
Okay.
The system has to change. If the system doesn't change, because the article you referred to, that's the bottom of this conversation was what Professor Mahmoud said.
Yes.
He made that comment in Gambia, not in Nigeria.
Right.
I don't think he is going to stand in any Nigerian soil to make that comment.
Why not?
He can't, because he knows what happened in the last election.
Okay, I'll have you hold your thoughts and quickly revert to a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for talking to us. I'll revert to you in a short bit too.
All
right. Okay, the conversation continues. Dear listener, I'd like you to engage us or indulge us, I beg your pardon, across social media platforms on YouTube, on Facebook, where the conversation is being streamed at the moment at Eagles FM Abuja. On the show this morning, we are assessing youth participation in Nigerian politics, and somewhat against the backdrop of what the chairman of the electoral umpire, that's the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, where he told African youth not to lose faith in democracy or even withdraw from civic engagement, saying that they are necessary in promoting peaceful and credible elections across the continent. Now, we just have to narrow the conversation home to take a look at the body language of Nigerian youth. So I'm just trying to see how we can link up with Comrade Saliu Mahmoud Dantata, who is a public affairs analyst and also a political enthusiast who's probably been observing the political trends in Nigeria. But it really speaks volumes looking at the submission of Colonials Omofuwo, talking about how the system is being run or operated in Nigeria. Comrade, thank you so much for joining us. Good morning to you.
Thank you very much, Efe.
All right. I just had a conversation with a Nigerian youth. All right. He's a content creator, by the way. I asked him a pertinent question. Do you have a PVC? He said yes. Have you voted before? He said no. And that speaks volumes, comrade. What does that tell you?
Well, that is having a PVC without voting. That shows you in even political development. And I don't blame him, because when you look at FA, they often say youths are the future leaders of tomorrow's Nigeria, right?
Right.
Even with the led, not too young to run, how many 21 years old, how many 25 years old are holding ministerial position, even though we know when Mr. President Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu appointed Minister of Youth Jamila from Kwara State, as well as the Minister of State, they were younger people. They're in their 30s, isn't it? How old were the likes of Gawan? Are you with me?
Yes, please.
General Tiwa Danjuma and also of others were, including even Mbu, that was Foreign Affairs Minister in the First Republic. He was just 20-something. How old was late Maitama Sule when he became Nigeria's permanent representative to the United Nations? If a question is asked, how old was then Major Dengiwa Umar, even though it was military, when he was appointed military governor of Kaduna State by Babangida administration? How old was Major Abdulmumini Aminu when Babangida appointed him as military governor of Borno State? How old was then Lieutenant Colonel Muhammadu Buba Marwa when he was military governor of Borno before he even became that of Lagos under Abacha? We had young military officers holding power. How old was Saad bin Nkudu, barrister, when Babangida's infiltrated Third Republic organized election and he became governor of Jigawa State? How old was he? These are questions we should ask. So I think the elites too need to do a lot by also giving the chance to the youths today, from service chiefs to ministers to heads of agencies. Tell me how many youths are holding this position.
No, but comrade, I'm sorry to butt you now, but you highlighting a number of young leaders we had in the past compared to what is obtainable at this point in time, there seems to be a difference. It looks like they were very intentional about leadership and elective positions as opposed to what we have right now. Do you really see that willingness, that readiness from Nigerian youth as we speak?
Well, I don't think even the leaders are ready for Nigerian youth, because if you, for example, say standing for elections, you want to vie for state assembly, how much is the form, nomination form from your party? If you want to vie for House of Rep, how much is the cost? If you want to vie for governorship, you are paying millions. Presidency, the same thing. So even the political parties are not in an open situation. The independent candidacy, I don't think it has been done. So I want to say, the leaders and the elite are not ready for the youth. They still want to continually use the youth as their political talks, as their political boys, where they give them SA, PA, this and this. But the mainstream day-to-day administration, no. So the leaders themselves are not ready for youths to take charge. Even though I would give credit to the President and Commander-in-Chief, Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu, right from inception, he has given some, waiver to the youth. Beta Edu, she's a youth, even though she went and messed up there and also others. And I mentioned the former Minister of Youth, Jamila, and also others. So to some extent, this administration has given leverage, but not enough. So the leaders, to the best of my knowledge, are not ready for the youth in totality.
Comrade Saliu, but realistically, don't you think you'll just be giving the youth a pat on the back for no reason? Because a youth who is being used to disrupt the electoral process, a youth who's being used as a political thug, is an adult who can actually tell what is good from what is bad. So somehow it still boils down to the readiness. And if you think that is not the case, how best can we reorient, the youth and even have them gear up for, key elective positions in subsequent elections?
The youths themselves are not ready. Let me be fair. They are not ready. Today, they are involved in internet fraud, majority of them, involved in things that are not good in the society. Then again, many of them are materialistic. Then the patience is not there, the hard work is not there, and also for that. And even though I know the encouragements are also lacking. But we have in Senegal, Faye, that is their president now. Yes. He's also a youth, even though he is 40s. But look at, they didn't just start in a day. So the issues are, we need to wake up from slumber as Nigerian youth. Today, the youth only get to you when you are riding an expensive car, you are holding a position, or what have you. I can tell you, there was a little position that was given to me of recent. Even people that don't call me before, they call me. Even before I assumed there, they started setting agenda for me. I had to start telling them, come. My former job remains. I have not even resumed there, and my essence of taking that is to go and correct certain things there. So if you have things that relate to deprivation in this and this, tell me. So you can see their cause is not patriotic cause. Already, somebody just had, you've not even been there yet, is telling you the contract of so. I had to start telling them, no, I don't do those kind of things. So what I'm trying to tell you, these are the kind of mentality and mindset we have, where today even you as FA, if your governor decides to give you maybe special advisor on media, all they are concerned is to move and come to your office, you give them some money, what are the things they can get in parts of money, not coming to give you reports of maybe there is a certain economic something here, there is insecurity here. No. So we need to also as youths take charge of our roles, be patriotic, be selfless. I can remember late Latif Jakande saying that if we have lost patriotism and selflessness, then we cannot get back to the promised land. So the youth also need to wake up from their slumber. Look at even the National Youth Council of Nigeria, their elections, how they fight because of money. Look at National Association of Nigerian Students. They have become stooges for government, public office holders, where if there is any protest, they commission them with due respect to some that are still patriotic. So we also need to wake up from our slumber, do what is right, when and how.
All right, comrade, I'll let you hold your thoughts. We're due for a commercial timeout. I'll revert to you in a short bit.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is Eagles Outlook live on Eagles FM 102.3 Abuja. We are having an assessment, of youth participation in Nigerian politics. You can send in your contributions via voice note or message to the WhatsApp portal number already on 09097054450. You can also call us on 09087668888 or 09073530044, but that would be after this commercial timeout. Do join us again.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja. There is power in this Abuja, get ready for the Good Friday Prayer Miracle Crusade with Pastor Ohis Egwahide on Friday, 18th April 2025 at Love World Auditorium, Abuja Zone 1, number 1, Messenger Street, Jabi, Abuja. Time 8 p.m. Don't miss this night of prayer, worship, miracles, impartation of grace, and demonstration of the power of God. For more inquiries, call the numbers 0704 450 9567 or 0808 825 5790. Get ready. One word from God will change your life forever. Powered by Christ Embassy Abuja Zone 1, Imminent in Wisdom Group, and Imminent in Grace Group. Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
For advert placement and program sponsorship on Eagles 102.3 FM, please call 080-5919-8658. That is 080-5919-8658 or 081-5791-7278. Again, 081-5791-7278.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
All right, we're back. Thank you so much for staying with us. If you are just joining us, this is Eagles Outlook live on Eagles FM 102.3 Abuja. The studio lines are opened now, so let's hear from you what your thoughts are. Hello and good morning to you. All right, that's a miss. I'll take this one. Good morning. Hello.
Hello, good morning, Efe.
Good morning to you, Uche.
How are you? How is the night?
Very well, thank you. Where are you calling us from today?
I always call from Akamata.
All right. Please go ahead.
Efe, I want to say that I think from the look of things and how everything is absolutely going, I can tell you that this not too young to run of a thing or youth participating in Nigerian politics is completely a scam. Because how many of the youths, like your guest scholar Bill said, has been appointed in any of these political positions? How many can you count, both from the past administration and the present administration? And they are still the same people that signed not too young to run. And look at even when the youths come out to speak up their minds, look at how they have been brutally being abused. They use the policemen against them. They use our law enforcement agency against the youth.
But it's still the youth. It is still the youth that would hijack, a peaceful protest. So whose fault is it?
It's the same political element that also use the youth against themselves. It's the same them that will also use the youth. It's just unfortunate enough that the youth allow themselves to be manipulated by these politicians. And it's very sad. I wish the youth can just wake up to their slumber and stand on their feet.
All right.
Even if they have refused them to be elected or to have any participation in any political position. But then let them stop being used by these politicians.
Okay. Thank you very much, Uche, for your contribution right there. They should stop, being used by the politicians. Okay. Let's see if we can take this one. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning, Amerfe.
Good morning, Felix.
Yes, and good morning to your guest.
Yes, please go ahead.
Amerfe, you see, whatever we give to the youth, I think the youth are what we have made out of them. Our youth has become an endangered species in the sense that we have seen them as tools of whatever we want them to be. We want them to use. If you want to use them for evil, you use them for evil. You want to use them for good, use them for good. And after you say you dump them and maintain the status quo. And the status quo is that the old ones will continue. The federal law will continue to rule. Look at countries like Ivory Coast here. The man who is heading the government of that country is a youth, and he's doing a lot. Look, if our youth are positively and properly motivated and given all the necessary things, they can do better. Like one of their guests pointed out, way back in the days of the military, most of the military governors are all youth. Even the head of state was a youth then. Go on started at the age of 20-something, 29 or thereabout. You see, the mentality we are giving to our youth, we are just being unfair to them. The role model we are playing before them, we are being unfair to them. We have produced the kind of youth we deserve, and that's why we are having what we are having. And I think it's good for the old folks to continue in power. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Felix. And I'm sure you were trying to refer to Senegal. That's President Diomaye Faye, all right, not Ivory Coast. Thank you so much. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Your name and location, please.
Yeah, this is Mayor. 100%
Good to have you, Mayor. Please go ahead.
Don't blame anybody that's okay, maybe they are not voting, because I think that maybe 2 years ago or maybe 3 years ago that begin to have interest in the voting. Okay, imagine that maybe you stay inside the sun and somebody in the office determine what maybe you're going to be, is the person that maybe going to be sitting down on that post. No. It's not supposed to be. Everybody has their own circumstances or maybe something that maybe we supposed to do. And you are blaming the youth. Okay, the youth that maybe, okay, hello?
Yes, please go ahead.
The youth that maybe they are collecting 77 now, rather, how many years that maybe you can gather that money to stand for governor or senator or president? So I don't know. Don't blame the youth for anything. I'm blaming some people that maybe they are using. They have been using for their this thing. They are giving them peanuts. They're going to help us in this country, because I know they one day something will better by grace of God, because we're not going to continue like.
Mayor, are you there? All right. Thank you very much for your contribution. We have contributions on the WhatsApp portal, so I'm just going to quickly squeeze them in because of time. Tarkin Behundu says, I'm listening from Nasarawa State. It is unfortunate that our democracy is not working yet. The politicians are they're the main problem. These politicians, they have big pocket. We see videos of politicians who are rejected by the people, allegedly bribing staff of the electoral umpire to turn election results in their favor. Okay, now INEC at the state level is even worse. Any governor who conducts local government election wins all the seats, and that is evil. Lastly, many a times INEC don't even have the final say in some cases, but the judiciary now decides who wins the election. And look at the case of Imo State, where judges declared fourth candidate the winner. I don't like the idea of appointing professors to lead INEC. They've all failed, or they all failed. Turkin Behundu, thanks for that message, right? And I see this message is supposed to be like an eyewitness report, so I'm just going to skip it. I see this one from Sanusi from Suleja says, any Nigerian youth can also tell people it is his turn and work towards achieving his goals, maybe for the period of 30 years, run elections and win. It is a matter of determination and work. It gets to a level you reach in, and you are confident that with all your effort put together, with your experience, you are good to go and take over the mantle of leadership. No magic involved. Sanusi from Suleja, thank you for that message. Now we have a voice note here. I hope you. Okay, this should be from Ozo Francis Namani. All right. So let's take a listen to this voice note. Ozo Francis, good morning.
Ozo Francis Namani from Amagunze in Enugu State. Good morning, my distinguished analysts in the studio.
Right.
Our youth are yet to find their place in Nigeria politics because of the C-type syndrome of some of our political leaders and the political elites. These narratives must be corrected, because whatever is good for the goose is also good for the gander. Our youth should henceforth be properly accommodated. Thanks and God bless.
Thank you very much. Also, Francis Namani, always contributing live from Enugu State. Thank you so much. We don't take that, loyalty from you for granted. So at this juncture, I'm quickly going to revert to my guest, Comrade Saliu Mahmoud Dantata, and also the content creator who happens to be a Nigerian youth, a proud Nigerian youth, let me put it that way, Cornelius Omofuwo, so that they can just quickly wrap up, their thoughts on the topic of discussion this morning. Let me start off with Comrade, by the way. All right, and those watching us live on YouTube and Facebook, thank you so much. Don't forget that you can leave a comment. The show is about coming to an end because it is an abridged show today. So you might as well share this video with your loved ones and have them share their 2 cents much later. Hello, Comrade, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
All right, so I don't know if you were able to monitor the views expressed by the listeners or contributors out there.
I did not.
But somehow they actually, I think it's been views and counter views somewhat. Some actually think it's been views and counter views. I mean, to an extent, some actually think that the youth can actually do better, and others actually think that the sit-tight syndrome from the top, it should be looked at very carefully, such that we have an enabling environment, a level, playing field or ground for everyone to thrive politically. But, Comrade, how best would you advise the Nigerian youth out there who's probably listening at this point in time not to lose faith in democracy, just in the words of Professor Mahmoud Yakubu?
Let's get united. Let's develop patriotism. Let's enhance hard work. Let us reduce our love for materialism, then embrace legacy. So that when we sit down, we read about legacies of Nelson Mandela, Julius Nyerere.
Are you there?
Of Ahmadu Bello, Obafemi Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe, and host of others.
All
so
right.
that we stop discussing wealth of Dangote, Femi Otedola, Bua, musicians even like Whiskey, Davido, and what have you. When you know where will you? So legacy exceeds materialism.
Okay.
So that is all I have to tell our youth. The unity is what matters.
All right. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure discussing these issues
Thank
with you,
very
Comrade.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And I'll quickly link up with Omofowo right now to, make his submissions on the show. And even as we wrap up the conversation, once again, I'd like to encourage you, dear listener, to do well, to have a playback on this conversation, and most importantly, share it with any youth at all that you come across, right? And try to help them change their mindset. And we must know that the youth are the leaders of today, no more tomorrow. All right. Cornelius Omofowo, thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you.
All right, time is not our friend, but I must tell you that your co-discussant on the show, who happens to be a public affairs analyst, he somewhat threw his weight behind your views, and according to him, we really can't blame the youth for being inactive in Nigerian politics. But in a minute, I'd like you to maybe your parting words to the Nigerian youth out there who's listening, and what are you going to be doing in your own capacity going forward, trying to educate the Nigerian youth on the street, regarding why it's important for them to be active in the electoral process?
Okay, like I said before, Nigerian youth are active in the electoral process. I think the problem is sensitization on what you are actively doing when it comes to politics. Like we said, it's the same youths that are active trying to make the country better are the same youths who are seen at the polling units looting ballot boxes and so on and so forth. Some youths. So the best thing is you have to listen to the political ideas that people have, and see how you can shape their thinking, and just see how, if possible, because I know it's going to take a while. It's going to take a while to do so, but we should just try our best to shape the thinking of people, of youths, and see how they can see beyond the material, the material gain that is about politics. Because Nigerian politics is all about the material gain. That's what Nigerian politics is all about. That's why the older generation will still occupy that position until I think we put that structure of seeing just the material gain that is from there and seeing the need to work.
All right.
The older generation are not going to live there. So just see how we sensitize this youth and see how they can work towards a different ideology when it comes to politics.
Thank you very much. And I must say that we are more than grateful, for you, obliging us despite the short notice. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
All right. And that's just going to be about the size of the show today. Thank you, dear listener, for keeping us company. Those who called in, those who sent in messages and voice notes, those who took their time to listen. Thank you, far too kind, for spending part of your time or the day with us. I am Omoife Piso-Semere, and the views expressed on the show were not influenced by Eagles FM 102.3 Abuja. Good morning.